governor of the state to propose a budget as he did in 2011. To step back and let the legislature, through the House and the Senate, come up with a new budget without his involvement. It's not leadership for him to say this budget is awful, this budget doesn't serve the people well, and to allow that budget to pass and to become law without his signature. That's not leadership. Leadership is, if you don't believe in what's going before you as a governor, you have to act. Either sign that bill and own it, or veto it. And I'm pledging to the people of New Hampshire that as the governor, I'll either sign or veto any piece of legislation that comes to my desk. I'm not going to take a pass or a walk, which the Constitution allows. The New Hampshire Constitution allows the governor to sit by and not do anything. That's not leadership. So I'm going to commit to you that I'll be a hands-on governor working with the leadership of the House and the Senate, which I hope with your help is going to be a Republican leadership team on both houses. So we can do the work of the people, but I'll be hands-on, which means I'm going to work with our legislative leaders, and they'll know sometimes I may not be with them. And we're going to work together to make sure we can agree on what's coming before us. And if we can't, we're going to have to work it out some other way. And we need that kind of proactive leadership. And it's not leadership to simply show up at a scene of a problem that the state faces and not be a leader and conquer it with our bureaucracy. A couple of things I want you to know about the way I would lead also. The second thing I would do as governor is to impose a 90-day moratorium on any rules and regulations and require our agencies to go back to the drawing board and conduct a robust economic impact analysis. As the head of the executive branch, I'll demand that our regulatory agencies, our executive branch agencies, tell the people and the businesses and the cities and towns of this state what it's going to cost to implement the rules and regulations that they're proposing. And I want to see those reports myself. And if there's something wrong here, if there's an approach that's too expensive or wrong-headed, I'm going to get involved in the regulatory process too. Now let me do a little civics lesson if I can. I'm a former high school teacher, so I like this. I believe in biennial sessions for the legislature. For this reason, I think the legislature should be 1 year and then study and prepare the second year. And then when bills are passed in New Hampshire, there should be no or very little rulemaking authority granted to the executive branch. Those bills should be complete, they should be clear about what's expected, and we should not be transferring to the executive branch legislative authority, which is what we do every time we pass a bill, and give rulemaking authority to the to the state executive branch. That is not the proper allocation of power. The legislature is supposed to have the legislative function. The executive branch, the function of enforcing and implementing the law, not making the law. And I hear too many horror stories about businesses and cities and towns that have become overrun by regulators who are unelected and sometimes unaccountable, proposing rules and regulations and government bureaucracy that hurts job creation, that hurts families, that hurts growth. And that's going to change. And I'll be a leader who, overseeing the executive branch, is going to bring some discipline to this process. And then we need to try to repeal regulations too, ones that have become redundant, inefficient, outdated. We don't do enough sunsetting. And we're supposed to be sunsetting our rules and regulations. So I'm not going to promise you what I can't deliver, but I can promise you what I'll do, and that is to get control over the executive branch of government. I'll appoint a business advocate in the governor's office whose sole job it is to answer the 800 call number that some business somewhere in New Hampshire is going to call through to get help in dealing with the bureaucracy of state government, help to thread the needle in terms of dealing with expansion issues, perhaps at the local level, working in partnership, and to advocate for those businesses. I think we need to be a pro-growth, pro-business state. And the best way to do it is to pass right to work. I'll sign right to work. I know that's a divisive issue even among Republicans, and let's not let that issue get in the way of our doing other things. But that issue is an important one. It's a conservative position to say we'll let employees choose whether or not they're going to be part of a union. It's a conservative position to stand with individuals and give them that choice. People ask me, why do the unions oppose right to work? And I'll tell you why they do. Because they don't want to be accountable. The unions will be accountable to make the case to their workers that it makes sense for the workers to pay that union due and be part of a membership of the union. And it's going to inject in the workplace, a sense of accountability. It doesn't take away collective bargaining rights. It doesn't take away the ability of a union to organize the workplace. It does inject accountability and it respects the ability of individual workers to make the decision whether to become part of a union or not. You make New Hampshire right to work state. As Governor LePage of Maine says, it's the biggest threat to him and his economic development plan because the businesses will want to locate here. Because we're going to send a loud signal that we are open for business. And we'll be the only state north of Virginia, east of Indiana. And let's not let anybody get ahead of us on this one. Those are the kind of strategies we need to move towards.